I think I have things written on my agenda, which is what's upsetting to me. I don't know where I've gotten screwed up here. But how about any amendments to the agenda as it was presented? I move then that we accept the agenda as presented.
I support.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Are there any conflicts of interest wishing to be declared at this time? Thank you. Public comment? Nothing? All right, the presentation of the draft budgets. And again, oh, here it is, right there. Don't know why I'm having so much trouble tonight. Do you want to start with fire and roads? Get those out of the way?
Well, I mean, I thought the purpose of this meeting was for, there would be public comment. And
Yeah.
then we would listen to that, and then at our next meeting or whatever, we would make changes in the budget.
Yeah,
Is that the process?
it is, but we didn't have anybody comment.
Right, that's true.
So do you want to comment or
Well,
should
no, I
I?
can comment, but I thought, just want to clarify, the process was really that we're thinking that perhaps the public's gonna persuade the board to alter the budget in some manner in one of the categories. And apparently, they're not gonna try and do that. So the fire budget, what's on your budget is 130,000 for next year.
Right, and we have to, I think, change lines 14 and 15, right?
And what we have is a contract in front of us, which we got just yesterday or the day before from Frankfurt. And I believe on the contract, they're talking about for just the fire protection, you know, they wanted, what is it, 110,000?
Yeah, I put it at 111,
110.
actually.
110,000 and then $42,419 for first responders. So the total is 152,606.
Yeah, I put 111 and 43, just to round them off there.
0.7.
On lines 14 and 15,
Uh-huh,
can you say that one more time?
sure, on line 14, make it
So-
111.
And we've been collecting 0.65 last year. And but that's not gonna be enough. But we do have I think about 28,000 carryover
Yes,
from the prior year, so that'll cover us. So I think we probably should set millage for next year when we send in the 4029, is it, the L 4029? Well, probably should set that at 0.70. And that'll raise enough money. Again, I don't know for sure what the taxable value is, but I think I heard it was 216 something.
Well, last year it was 216, so I used
Well,
220 in my figures, but.
Well, it's probably up, but we,
Mhm.
you know, the amount of money we collect is based on the taxable value, not the SEV. So if we don't have the SEV, we don't know what we're gonna collect here. But, the treasurer is just saying it should be at least 220.
Mhm.
So 0.7 times 220 should be enough to cover us.
So what I thought we should do for the fire fund, instead of collecting 130 in taxes, change that to 155, add $1,000 for interest, so that'll bring us to, excuse me,
yeah,
taxes collected is 154 plus 1,000, so in total it'd be $155,000 in revenue for fire fund.
and you're talking about interest and rates would keep it 1,000. So the new total instead of 130 would be 155.
Correct, right, and then so down, yes, your 14 and 15 would change to the appropriate figures on the contracts. You can round, I suppose. But I put down that expenditures would be 165,000.
And I didn't add those up yet, so I didn't know if that would, but it,
Right, so
Obviously.
I did go through, just the handout that I gave you is the new Appropriations Act, so I fixed the language under the millage rates. I plugged in the millage, our anticipated millage rates for tonight. And then I fixed some, math errors. So
so where are you
If
talking
you-
about? in this
Correct.
document?
Yep, so if you look on that in your right hand, is my pink notes. I
Yeah.
basically went through and noted where you needed to make changes on the budget.
And I am questioning Brienne, who told me the 96, 94. Have you? I mean, you changed it on yours. This is your handwriting there.
Right, because the L49 reflects a different number than that.
Right, so I'm wondering where the mistake is. Is this my mistake or was it Brienne's mistake?
Well, that is,
Tell me.
you must have altered that document. I mean, it was mine originally, and I think you altered it to reflect whatever figure's there.
No, I didn't make this document.
Okay.
So we don't know where this document came from?
I mean, you had it in your packet. I didn't do it this year.
I had the one that was not corrected,
Okay. And, right.
that says 9152.
Mhm,
And then you corrected your copy
mhm,
to reflect what actually is on the 4029.
correct.
And I'm just wondering why there's a discrepancy. Why did somebody send us this with a different number?
Nobody would send us that. That's an internal document. I originally did that a couple of years ago in my budget.
Yeah, this is not, I don't,
So disregard the document then.
what I'm saying is that I think I need to talk to equalization again.
Why? That's not their document.
I know, but where did somebody come up with this 9152?
They didn't come up with that.
Okay. So does everybody, do you want a recap of what we just decided with this? Okay, so, line 5.
Okay.
You're changing to 154,000.
Okay.
And then, line, 7 is changed, obviously, it's a repeat of the same thing. And then, under interest and rents, which is, line 8, it's $1,000.
Okay.
And then line 9 turns into 155,000.
Okay.
And then down, do you want me to repeat the 14 and 15?
I've got 14, I didn't get 15.
15 is 43,000.
Okay.
And I've not added those up, so. But I agree with all those changes.
So if you use an estimated 165, it'll match the appropriations resolution that I handed you. Okay.
You just handed me an appropriations
That one.
bill. Okay, and what are you saying to do with this?
So I think it's on page 2, it shows 165.
Yes,
I'm
and so
trying
you're,
to do as few edits as we can, just to keep it clean, so there's nothing that gets missed.
and you're suggesting that the 155 change?
No. I'm suggesting that the total expenditures for the fire fund becomes 165 to match your document there.
Didn't we just decide that it was expenditures,
It lists expenditures, right?
and expenditures are 155, so what is changing to 165?
It says
Yeah.
155, my error. I'm sorry,
Okay, so that needs to be.
that needs to be changed. Oh, no.
No, you
No,
have
it doesn't.
155.
I
Nothing's
didn't
getting
cross
changed to
off my previous
165.
numbers, okay, I'm sorry, disregard.
Okay. You pleased with that?
Yeah, I think that, I just wanted to point out that fire protection in, the last few years, it was in 21, 22, it was 74,900. In 2022, 2023, it was 75,500, a minimal increase. And then in last year, it was $89,080. And it suddenly shot up to 110, 187 this year, which is a 19% increase. And we can expect continued increases, I think. And what really cost us is the first responder went from 16 some years ago to 17. and then it went up to 28, and now it's 42,000. So that's where the services, our cost is going up. You know, they're having a lot more runs and, nothing we can do. I mean, you have to, you have to pay, we're gonna have to pay unless we want to get rid of, I mean, we don't have to have first responder if we don't want it, we don't wanna pay 42. You know, we could say no, and then, it would fall back to the county. I mean, the county would have to provide emergency services. But I'm not saying we should do that, I think 40, the combined package is still very nice for us, it'll be, I think we can agree on 0.70. For next year on the L 429, and that'll raise, $154,000, which is just enough should be just enough to cover it. And then we still have a backup of 20-some thousand. So I would make a motion that we sign first responder and the fire contract for the next fiscal year, April 1.
Actually, I had that in the regular meeting. Is it all right
Oh,
if we add it
No, that's
now?
fine. No, we can, I forgot about that. No, we can wait. I mean, whatever.
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I think.
But
Do you
it's
have an
not on
opinion?
the agenda, so we should probably, because it's on the next agenda, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually, it's not on the next agenda, but it's on my notes to add it when I suggest the amendments to
So
it.
we can wait till you amend the agenda.
All right. And what was I gonna say? I was gonna remind you that when I started out 11 years ago, they were paying the responders nothing. They were all volunteer. So it's become a professional force
Yeah, and I
now.
think it's a good service. I mean, if you got a heart attack or you're laying on the floor with a broken hip, you know, time is important and they have a good response times and if you look at the fire departments in the area, I think the quality is quite good of, compared to, we're right there.
Do you wanna move on to road?
Yeah, sure. Well,
Again, we have a new number, that should be in number 15. I think that at the very end of the last meeting, we were kind of saying, do we go to 125 or 130? And I think Doc said, change it to 130. That was
what are
his
you talking
last,
about, the roads or the cemetery?
I'm talking about the road fund now.
I'm not sure what
Right,
yeah,
it's at 25,000 now, budget.
oh, yeah, okay, that's, we don't think we're gonna spend a lot of money next year, we just have to pay for those Marquette court. 20 or 25,000, and that comes out of, our local, matching funds from the county, so it really doesn't come out of our,
Halvesies, right?
road mills.
We go halvesies with,
Pardon?
don't we go half and half with?
No, not with that, that's, every year they give us like $14,000 or whatever to use as we please, and we can do what we want with it, and.
And Bruce said it was gonna disappear.
Yeah, after 3 years, but, so we've accumulated enough to pay 25,000 or whatever their final cost is for those two roads to get paid.
Right.
So, but it doesn't come out of our road millage. And as far as the road millage goes, unless the local committee meets again and wants to recommend it, I don't think we're going to, do any, chip sealing next year. Chip sealing is the fancy word they use now for 115 and 31, where it's been evolving. It used to be tar and chip 5-10 years ago, and the county did it, and it's totally different now. It's a different, than tar and chip, they call it chip seal. And, it's still about $30,000 a mile. And the local road committee decided we wanted to see how the roads hold up over the winter with the plowing, and they're holding up. And decide whether we really want to take our roads now, which are all asphalted, they're crack sealed. They're really in good shape, so do we really want to put this other layer on it, which is the current fad that the state's doing? Or should we just wait and leave the money in there?
And didn't you say, wait?
Yeah, so far, unless we change our minds, so there shouldn't be any spending next year from the road millage fund at all.
So it's probably not important whether we change it to 25 to 30, but
No.
I think the last meeting you suggested 30, so.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
We could keep it at 25, but,
It doesn't matter. It's just a
All right,
budget.
let's keep it at 25 then.
okay.
And so then we're done with roads?
Yeah, other than, like you said, we have, the last collection for the fifth year of the road will be this winter. Our next winter, we'll collect taxes over the into 2025. And we should be up to about $500,000 there in that road fund.
And do you have suggestions about,
Well, then we need to decide, and we'll come back with a recommendation to you guys that that millage expires, and since we've had these millages, the public seems to accept them, they voted for them. And we probably should put that on the November ballot again. But it's important to remember that these millages, the board decides how much you collect. So one mill is the max. You could do 0.05. I mean, so keep the road millage on the ballot. If it's approved, then we have the option of deciding, and we honestly are not gonna, unless we use it, we can't just keep accumulating money. So, we don't have to leave it in a mill. We could tell the county, we only wanna do 0.1 this year.
right, and can we change it from year to year?
Yes, you can change it from year.
And then can you also not do 5 years? I just don't know.
Well, I mean,
You can do 2
we've always
years or,
done 5 years, because in the past millages, we've needed the money we've
Right.
spent it all. This is the first time we're finally caught up with all our roads, basically. And do we want to have a backup millage just in case something happens? And it's probably okay to have a backup, because you don't have to charge that 1 mil in 2026. You could charge 0.1. And then the following year, if we decide that we needed more money, we change it to 0.6 or something. So you can change it every year. It's on the L429 form. You put it on when we do that in August or September. So,
okay, so,
so that's
you'll
where we
keep
are
us
with the roads.
surprised.
We're in great shape, and I guess we'll eventually have a meeting with the local road committee and just see, whether we really want to do anything. And it may be a little bit difficult to guess if we wanted to chip seal a bunch of our roads. It may be that, I mean, they're putting that stuff out for bid soon. But I see no reason to rush into it.
Well, it's gonna be a delicate balance, not accumulating too much money, monitoring it, doing it just right, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
All right, that's it.
cemetery next or general fund? Take the next smallest cemetery then?
Yeah.
You've got all that there, and the only thing that I said I would do was, add $2,800 anticipated revenue coming in, but also going straight out again. We think that's how much the sexton will charge in addition to this year's. We had about 28 burials. And, if he says that he's raising his rates $100 for every fee, then I figure $2,800. So, we might wanna just not do that right now, because we don't know if that's the sexton who's going to be rehired, and we don't know if it's a different sexton, he has whole different rates. So we might have to just leave it as it is and see where we go. What's your opinion on that?
I would leave the expenditures, but I did note that you were transferring $16,000 out of the general fund, but you did not reflect that in the cemetery fund.
So I don't have that as income, do I?
Right.
And how would I do that if,
There's an account for that.
do you have the
don't-
number?
You
on-
don't have it, I don't have it with me now.
Okay, so,
But what you've done is, you're budgeting a $32,000 loss, right? Next year. Is that correct? 32,000?
am
usage of the fund balance.
Right,
But,
but what you're doing is
but she
taking,
didn't have the $16,000 as revenue, so basically this is only a $16,000 fund
right,
balance.
but you're taking it out of the fund, you're taking it all out of the fund balance. So you don't, I mean, if you do that, you don't need any general fund money to come in.
Well, I have a lot of questions about what,
Yeah, but the problem with that is that what you really want to do? Because you only have
No.
$125,000 worth of interest in the perpetual care for that.
no, I wanna find better ways to fund the cemetery.
Right, but right now, and the cemetery budget, it looks like you're just taking out of the perpetual care right now. You're taking.
I know that, I know.
It's going down by 32, and there is no general fund money going into that budget.
Right, I did forget to put it in as the incoming. I don't know why I did that. So, but I do think I need to understand better. There are two things that I sell at the cemetery. One is the actual plot, the land. It's not really the land, but you know what I mean, the plot. And the other thing is, I sell burials. And we attach a surcharge to that, and we made almost $10,000, for example, this year. And just like you like, we charge non-taxpayers much more than we do the taxpayers. But between the two of them, the surcharges, we paid out about $9,700 to the sexton, and we also got $9,700 approximately. So that's 10,000 right there, if we continue to do that. I had suggested that we not raise our surcharge. While the sexton is going to raise his rates, we won't raise our surcharge. So possibly, and then we kind of have the same number every year, we kind of go from 28 to 33 or something like that. Can I help you, ma'am? Can we help you?
Nice. And why did you just drop this up? I'm sorry to interrupt your meeting.
You're okay.
I saw the door was open. Thank you.
Could put it in the phone.
Is it your intent to take money potentially every year out of the general fund to put it in the cemetery fund?
It is, that's my intent.
All right, well, I think that raises issues that this board needs to continue to discuss.
Yeah,
Whether that is a good idea or not.
this is not sanctioning it. We haven't, it is only planning for it.
Right, I understand that, but eventually you're saying the general fund has to transfer something, 60,000 into the cemetery fund and, you know.
Do you know that when I started, they were hardly transferring a thing? They didn't use the interest whatsoever. And we didn't have a surcharge.
Right, but right now, it looks like you're projecting, unless something changes for the next 50 years, a deficit of $30,000 every year. I mean, where does that money come from? Only some of it can come from the interest from the perpetual funds,
Right,
but there's only 125,000 in there, and that's gone pretty quick at that rate. So eventually, it's all gonna come from the general fund, $32,000, and I think we shouldn't be doing that.
well, that's what we need to get down to brass tacks.
All right, well, and when do we discuss that and where? Not now, it doesn't matter what the budget is, I mean, right now.
Right, I think it's for the next,
For the next part of our meeting, or
Yeah.
another month, or what?
Yeah.
All right,
so,
Just so that you are aware, we have not used interest. We have not spent any interest in the last few years any that I know of.
and we've been at higher interest rates lately. That will change.
Mhm.
Right. So did you hear that?
yeah, right, but I mean, we're not gonna have high interest rates for very much longer, so you're gonna have less revenue coming in, your costs keep going up. So the
Right.
question arises, should we be selling lots in that cemetery to non-residents?
So, that will be on hold till 20 minutes from now or whatever. What you're recommending, if the approval for the budget, not approval for the whole thing, you'll get with me to tell me what line item that goes on?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Asbrook here. Okay, any other corrections to the cemetery? The contracts did go out, for bid, and so we'll see what the new mowing is gonna cost too. So that was a 3-year contract and that's up, and so that might go up a little. Next is general fund. Any questions there? I think we made some corrections.
Right, I think you just need to fix your totals.
Totals are wrong. Do I have formulas wrong or something?
Actually. For some reason, I had that the total should be. Oh, you didn't include the transfer out. It was 16, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
the
what,
same problem.
the same issue.
Same issue. Okay.
You're moving
16
16,
out.
it's gotta show up in the general fund.
It is, but it wasn't
Well, there's something, I didn't,
in the total, I think. So maybe double check those figures.
Anything besides that?
Nothing.
All right, well, we're getting to the end of our, allotted half an hour here. So if we're done with discussing the funds, we'll move on to whatever I can find here. The next thing is, the Draft Appropriations Act. And you corrected some of those,
I did.
and again, we'll work together to make sure that it's done right.
I just
vote on.
updated your millages and, yeah, if you could please double check the figures again.
I will do.
That's what I did.
Okay, and, at this point, public comment again. Board comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
Paul May, Adams Road. When did the meeting start? Isn't it a
Oh.
7 o'clock meeting?
No, it didn't.
This is the budget meeting that started, we only have it once a year, and we started a half an hour before.
Mhm.
So the 7 o'clock meeting is gonna start any minute. Any other public comment? Board comment? I adjourn this meeting. The budget meeting is being adjourned, and we have